Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another edition of The Longest War. This is our series of Warhammer 40,000 8th edition battle reports. This is a 1,500 point battle that was fought between my friend Death with his Harbingers of the Death Guard versus yours truly with my watch company Tertius of the Deathwatch. So that's right, ladies and gentlemen, 1,500 points of Death Guard versus Deathwatch are on the table. We're going to be throwing it down here a little bit and fighting it out. So with that being said, we're going to play some background music real quick. If you want to see exactly what each of us is bringing for our armies, go ahead and pause and take a look at your own leisure. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this battle report on a roll. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's go talk about the scenario rules real quick for this one. The scenario rules is pretty simple. The type of scenario we're playing is called No Mercy. It's pretty much just a straight up, just general type of battle. The battle lasts 5 turns, and on turn number 6, if it goes that far, you have to roll a d6 to see if it continues on. On a d6 roll 3 up, it continues on until you play it around 6. Victory points are pretty straightforward. No quarter given is +1 victory points for each enemy unit that you end up destroying. You also have Slay the Warlord, which is 1 extra victory point for killing your enemy Warlord. Same thing with First Blood. You get +1 victory point for destroying the first enemy unit in the battle, and then finally you have Linebreaker, where you have +1 victory points for occupying the enemy's deployment zone. As you can see from this photo as well, from this overhead shot, we are playing Anvil and Hammer type of deployment, so I am deployed on the left-hand side, while my buddy Death and his Death Guard deployed on the right-hand side. So with the scenario rules over with, let's go and talk about exactly where the battle plan is going to be for this one. Alright, so here's an overhead shot of the battlefield. As you can see, we're lined up with Hammer and Anvil style deployment, so I'm on the left hand side of that slime river, while my buddy Death is deployed on the right hand side. And pretty much the plan is that I'm pretty much planning on surrounding my opponent and then shooting from both sides, getting inside of a pincer attack. This kind of deployment is actually pretty advantageous for the Deathwatch because I can put several units into the teleportarium, up to 3 of them, and keep them in reserves and have them teleport anywhere on the battlefield, which is going to be very helpful for me because my opponent is playing Death Guard. Now, Death Guard are very resilient, they're very tough, they have really good invulnerable saves, really good armor saves. They also have those Mephitic Blight Haulers, which allows them to give bonuses to their cover bonuses as well. However, the one thing that Death Guard does not have is very much speed. Right? They're very, very slow army. So pretty much my plan is to have my enemy draw closer towards me, towards the middle of the table. Once he advances close enough to the Slime River, I plan on deploying my other 2 kill teams, as well as my Dreadnought behind their lines, so that way I have the Death Guard stuck in a pincer attack and I can shoot them from both sides, which is very helpful for me because my army is not very big, but I do have numerous squads and they all have some pretty powerful weaponry, so firepower is the plan I'm using to defeat my opponent on this one. That's what I'm pretty much trying to go with. At the same time, though, I do have a lot to worry about. These Death Guard are resilient. He's got a huge army of Poxwalkers surrounded by Mephitic Blight drones, so those guys get cover saves, which makes him even deadlier. He's got kind of like this phalanx Kappa formation like you would see for Roman Empire, so very, very devastating, very, very powerful up front. Hopefully I can be able to exploit the weaknesses in the back end and hopefully destroy them that way. And that's pretty much the battle plan I'm going for this one. Alright, so the battle plan over with, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. Starting off on my right hand flank, I have Kill Team Kroll. As you can see, it is an Aquila kill team. It's got a Terminator, a Biker, a Vanguard Veteran, has a black shield as well. This is kind of like my kind of semi-tactical combat units. What it has here, it's got some good, decent, just regular shooting options, several bolt guns as well as shotguns in this unit as well. And then right behind them, I have my Librarian Apostolari Gaius as well as my Chaplain Cassius to lend support for this unit here on the right-hand flank. And finally over here on the left-hand flank, this is Kill Team Cruad, as the name of this kill team. This is also another tactical kill team that I also have as well. As you can see, it's just a general tactical kill team. It's got several bolt guns in there. It's also a cool kill team because there's a Biker, Terminator, a Vanguard Veteran, as well as a Black Shield in there as well. So these guys have some good long-range firepower. I got 2 Infernus Heavy Bolters as well as 2 Stalker Pattern Bolt guns. I also have a Combo Plasma as well as an Assault Cannon. So these guys are bare to shoot for long distance with some close combat options as well. And then right behind them, I have Watch Captain Artemis to lend support as well. My other 2 kill teams like Kaon and Kill Team Dothros, those are my 2 assault kill teams. I spent 3 command points to put those guys in the Teleportarium, so because of that, they will not be coming down right now. I also have Nihilus the Black Shield, which is my Venerable Dreadnought arm with twin last cannons. He's also in the Teleportarium as well. And that pretty much makes up my deployment for my army on this one. Alright, so let's go and talk about the Death Guard real quick. So as you can see here, my friend O'Death has deployed his entire army in this really interesting phalanx formation marching right towards me. So as you can see, up in the center there, he has 20 Poxwalkers, which is also very dangerous, between 2 Mephitic Blight Drones. He's done that so that way they get the cover save from the Mephitic Blight Drones' toxic fumes. It gives them a +1 to their saves, so they have a 6-up save, and they also have now a 5-up resilience score. On either side, they're flanked by 2 different Plague Walkers. On the left hand, sorry, not Plague Walkers, Folded Plague Drones. On the left hand side, I believe that is Seeping Death. That's the Plague Drone that's armed with twin Plague Spitters. On the right hand side, I believe that's the Buzzing Horror. That's the one that's armed with a Heavy Blight Can't Launcher as well. Now right behind that first line, we have the special character Typhus, which gives +1 strength and toughness to the Poxwalkers, which is very dangerous. And he also has a special character called Croesus the Undying. He gives bonuses to Poxwalkers as well. So now they're just kind of fleshing out and helping out those Poxwalkers, getting more buffed up. And the left hand side is Naxor, I forgot his name. That's the guy who's the Bellman, is what he is. That's the Noxious Blightbringer. He's also got the Death Knell, which means he dishes out mortal wounds as well. And then right behind the third line, on the left and right hand flanks, are the Rancid ones as well as the Filthbringers. Those are 2 9-man squads of Plague Marines. They have 2 plasma cannons and a blight launcher for each squad. So very, very deadly phalanx type formation, like something you would see out of Roman times. So I think that's kind of cool I did that. So with deployment over, we go directly to the top of turn number 1 and we roll for initiative to see who goes first. As you can see from the top here, my buddy decides to go first with the initiative. This is the photo for turn number 1 for Death Guard after the move phase, and as you can see, he doesn't waste any time whatsoever moving up to me as quickly as he can. First of all, he advances both the left and right hand flank with his 2 Foot Bloat Drones, one on top of the Metro Tower there on the top of the screen, and one on the top of that walkway here on the bottom of the screen. He also moves up his Mephitic Blight Drones. He actually doesn't advance with them because those guys have a good 10-inch range, so he moves those guys within close in range for them to use their heavy weapons for their Multi-Meltas and their missile launchers. He then advances forward with his Poxwalkers, keeping up in the formation. Same thing with the rest of his army as well. The Plague Marines, Necrosis the Undying, Typhus, as well as his Noxious Blightbringer. Those guys advance to keep up with the rest of the army as well. So because of that, his Plague Marines will not be able to shoot, but then again, they're also out of range as well, so it really doesn't matter. And plus, because the Blight Drones, Plague Drones are assault weapons, they can basically shoot if they want to as well. And then plus the Mephitic Blight Drones can also, Mephitic Blight Halters can also shoot too if they want to. And that pretty much makes it the move phase on this part. Here's a close-up of the, Seeping Horror. That's the name of the creature that has the heavy blight launcher over here on the right-hand side. And here's a close-up of his main center line. Very, very deadly because now everything within those Mephitic Blight Drones have +1 to their saves because of cover caused by the Mephitic Blight Haulers. So that's pretty terrifying to go up against. Plus, buffed-out Plague Walkers Poxwalkers are always dangerous to go up against. And then finally, you have the Seeping Death over here on the left-hand side. That's the Blight Drone. Sorry, not Blight Drone. The Footed Plague Drone. There we go. These names, man, are killing me. This is the drone that has the twin Plague Spitters over here on the left-hand side. In the psychic phase, my opponent basically sends up all of his psychic powers to buff up these plague walkers. So the first thing that he does, he uses Typhus to give him the ability that gives him +1 to their strength and their toughness. So now these pox walkers are now strength 5, toughness 5 pox walkers. He also gives them a buff as well to close combat, which gets them a reroll wounds of 1, so that makes them a little bit deadlier in close combat. At the same time, Necrosis the Undying also gives them a psychic ability to, I believe it's the one that gives him reroll ones to hit, I think is what it ends up being on that one. Either way, these guys are really tooled out for close combat for both hitting and wounding, as well as getting toughness and strength checks. So those pox walkers are very, very deadly. And that pretty much makes up his psychic phase. Luckily for me, nothing was within 7 inches of that plague caster, so I don't have to worry about getting any mortal wounds coming my way. In the shooting phase, I actually got out pretty lucky during the shooting phase. A lot of combination of my opponent's dice kind of abandoned him. Most of the shots from his plague drone were pretty much ineffective. He just kind of filled his rolls, managed to hit anything on that one. However, his Mephitic Blight drone, Mephitic Blight haulers, when they opened up on my unit here of Guillotine Krull, I was pretty lucky. I managed to only lose 2 guys. The first one he fired off with his multi-melta, so I managed to save that with the vulnerable save from the storm shield that I had, so that was kind of nice. But then when he fired his frag missile from his missile launcher of all things, he managed to kill 2 of my guys when he did that, so that was kind of sad as well. So I lost, I believe, the shield bearer as well as one of my other tactical space marines as well, so that part was kind of sad. And since my opponent did nothing else, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Deathwatch. This photo is taken after the movement phase. And for the most part, I don't do really much movement on my left-hand flank. I keep all my troops exactly where they're at. I am not in any rush to assault my opponent because I want her to cross the battlefield towards me. So I keep my kill teams on the left-hand side as well as the characters exactly where they're at. However, on the right-hand side is where most of my movement takes place. Up on the top of the table, I deploy kill team Dothros. That's the unit that has a bunch of melta guns inside that unit. I also deploy Nihilist, the Black Shield, right in the center, right there, right next to the MCI Chemical Works. And then finally I deploy kill teams like Kaon there on the bottom right as well, for them to give them 9 inches of that main back line. So that would then cause some havoc. Now, like I said before, this is what my plan was. My plan was to catch him to a pincer attack. So now, since I'm running such small units, I can't really stand toe-to-toe on a foot-on-foot slogging fight with my opponent because my teams are kind of elite special ops units, not really meant for fighting. However, their firepower makes them very, very deadly, and now I have this army stuck in a crossfire, and that's pretty much what I was kind of going for on this one. So that pretty much makes the move phase on this part. Here's a close-up of my kill teams here on the left as well as right-hand side. I forgot to mention that my kill team on the left-hand side, kill team Kill team Krull, I'm sorry. I lost a member from that one from a multi-melta from the Mephitic Blight drone. I forgot, Mephitic Blight hauler, I'm sorry. I forgot to talk about those guys there. So this is the close-up of this side. As you can see, my left-hand kill teams are not moving anywhere. They're just going to hold their ground and continue shooting. And here's a close-up of my other 2 kill teams like Kaon as well as Dothros, and then Nihilist the Black Shield on my right hand flank. So that way I get my opponent stuck in a crossfire. So that makes up the movement phase on this part. And since my Warlord did not move, I do spend 3 more command points out of the 5 they had remaining, and I decided to use the Orbital Bombardment stratagem, which basically lets you target a point on the battlefield and cause some mortal wounds. And as you can see here, I put it right smack dab in the middle of the army. Because this army is so compact, I did manage to hit several units with this orbital bombardment. However, the Poxwalker survived because of disgustingly resilient. My opponent did roll a 1 to protect it, but because Necrosis the Undying was right next to him, they got to re-roll that for his ability, so they survived that. Same thing with both units of Plague Marines. They survived with their disgusting resilient rolls. However, for both Typhus as well as Necrosis the Undying, they failed their disgusting resiliency rolls, but they only suffered 2 mortal wounds total, which is pretty good for me. But at the same time, I believe Necrosis the Undying has the spell which allows you to heal, so that's not really much going for me at all. So with the movement phase over with, we go directly to the psychic phase. And in the psychic phase, Apostatory Guys does manage to put 1 mortal wound onto the Droning Horror, which is the plague drone that carries the heavy blight launcher. So I managed to put a mortal wound on him, so that part was kind of nice. And I also cast Veil of Time onto my kill team Krull over here on the right hand side. And the reason why I did that is just in case that they get charged at during the next turn, so that way they get to fight first. So that's the reason why I put that psychic ability on them as well. So with the psychic abilities over with, we go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, I just unleashed the fury with all my kill teams upon this unit. So, as you can see in the top, first of all, starting off with the center part, I do manage to take out, I think, 6 Poxwalkers. I do manage to take those guys out with the combined fires from both my kill team's Krull as well as kill team crew out there on the left-hand side. That's all I was really able to do. At the same time, the shooting from kill team Deathwatch just wiped out the rancid ones, which are the plague marines that used to be on the top of the screen there. Just the melta guns alone was enough to just really cause all kinds of problems to those guys, so that part was kind of cool. At the same time, on the bottom of the screen, I managed to kill 4 plague marines from the rancid ones. Sorry, not the rancid ones, the filth bringers. I managed to kill 4 of those guys from the fire from kill team Zykan as well. And then of course Nihilus also opened up with his last cannons onto the kill team onto the rancid ones on the top. So the reason why is because those units are closest to Nihilus, so Nihilus can't target the characters yet. So that was kind of nice. Those I basically chopped down 1 plague marine unit in half, and I also just destroyed 1 plague marine unit. So that part was kind of cool. So with the shooting phase over with, they go directly to the charge phase. Unfortunately for me, only one of my units managed to successfully charge. My plan was to have kill team Dothros as well as Nihilus charge into Typhus, but unfortunately those 2 units failed their charge rolls, so they didn't go anywhere. However, kill teams I did manage to get within close combat range of the the Filthbringers on the bottom. So because of that, both these units will be fighting it out in close combat. So with the charge phase over with, they go directly to the combat phase. And because kill teams I can charge, they get to go first. And as you can see in this photo, I just chop those guys to pieces, which is actually pretty appropriate because kill teams I can is kitted out for close combat. I have a heavy thunder hammer in there as well. That's got a guy with a storm shield and a power maul, a terminator with twin lightning cannons. Sorry, not lightning cannons, twin lightning claws. I also have chain swords on my shotgun wielding guys. I also have a biker. So because of all the combined attacks, is enough to destroy that unit completely, which is pretty awesome as well. In the morale phase, I think only 1 guy was left behind, and he fled because of all the damage that they took through leadership, so that part was pretty awesome as well. So that pretty much makes it the combat phase as well as the morale phase. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Death Guard. Alright, so this is the top of turn number 2 after the movement phase for the Death Guard. As you can see in this photo, my friend Death decides to kind of divide his forces into 2 sides. He sends up his demon engines, both his plague drones as well as mephitic blight haulers, keeping them moving forward towards my kill teams on the left hand flank. So you can see that he has both of his plague drones located on the top and the bottom there, supported by mephitic blight haulers. At the same time, on the right hand side, he sends in his Poxwalkers as close as he can to kill teams like Kaon, and then he puts Typhus as well as Necrosis the Undying behind that main line of Poxwalkers. Which kind of makes sense because that way I can't shoot at those characters. I have to go through the Poxwalkers first. And since they're buffing up those Poxwalkers, it makes it a little bit more difficult to go against those guys. And that pretty much makes the move phase for turn number 2. So here comes the close-up for the Droning Horror as well as Flotsam on the right-hand flank, the Mephitic Blight Hauler and a Plague Drone heading towards Kill Team Krull. So that's what's going on over here in the bottom. Over in the top is Kill Team Krull as well as Watch Captain Artemis, and we have the Seeping Death as well as Jetsam making their way towards the Kill Team over here on the left-hand side. And finally, here is a close-up of the Poxwalkers of the Walking Dead, of the Cursed, as well as Typhus and Necrosis the Undying, getting ready to engage kill teams like Kaon. And so with that being said, we go directly to the Psychic phase. During the Psychic phase, my friend Death managed to get off, I believe it's the ability that gives +1 strength and +1 toughness to his Poxwalkers. So once again, those Poxwalkers are now bringing up strength 5, toughness 5. At the same time, his Necrosis the Undying also manages to cast, I believe, Smite. Managed to kill 1 guy with Smite as well, and he also managed to cast, the Blades of Putrefaction, which allows these guys to have rerolls for 1 to hit. And so because of that, and because they're within 7 inches of my kill team, I get another mortal wound put on top of those guys as well. So because of that, I lose 2 more members of the kill team just from psychic abilities alone. So that was pretty tough. As a result of that, 2 more Poxwalkers pop up because their abilities, if anybody dies within range, they automatically join the unit. So that just makes things horrible. During the shooting phase, my opponent decides to activate Nurgle's Rot, which is one of his stratagems, and basically once per battle, what he do is you take a character you select within 7 inches. On a 4-up, that unit loses D3 mortal wounds as well. So because of that, he does target kill teams like Kaon. He does manage to cause 2 mortal wounds on that part, so because I do lose my biker as a process of doing that, and as you can see in the photo as well on the left hand side, another Poxwalker pops up because, you know, that's what they do. So that takes place in the shooting phase over here on the right hand side. My opponent really couldn't use a Destroyer Hive, doesn't really do any effects, and nothing else really manages to stick with his shooting. Meanwhile, over here on the right-hand side, my Storm Shield wielding Black Shield was the guy who actually did most of the saving for the shooting. The Blight Drone tried to open a Plague Drone, tried to open up with its heavy Blight Launcher. I managed to ward save all of those using the vulnerable save from the Storm Shield. In the end, however, when it came to the Multi-Melta that came off of Flotsam over there, it was enough to kill my guy. I wasn't able to ward save against it, so because of that, I do lose my Black Shield, thus taking a casualty over here for Kill Team Cruad. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side with Kill Team Kroll, oddly enough, it was actually the Blight Drone that actually caused most of the damage. The Mephetic Blight Hauler wasn't able to really do much of anything. Like I said, I was just rolling out of the box from my Storm Shield guy. However, because Seeping Death managed to have 2 Plague Spitters that automatically hit, it caused a lot of wounds. I can only stop so many of them, so as you can see, I lost 2 members. I lost both my Biker as well as my Kill Team member that carried the Storm Shield as well. So, lost 2 guys over here on the left-hand side. Now, it may not seem like much losing 1 or 2 people, but when you're playing Deathwatch, losing a couple of guys is absolutely devastating because these guys are Spec Ops guys. They're not regular tactical units, so every loss really counts, which is pretty rough. In the charge phase, the huge unit of Poxwalkers, the Curse, decided to swarm over kill teams like Counts, and now my units engage in close combat. And to make matters worse, my guys are now suffering -1 to their attacks because of that Hex that was put onto them by Necrosis the Undying. So with the charge phase over with, we go directly to the combat phase. And I managed to get off pretty lucky on this one. I only lost 1 additional member of my kill team. Once again, it was my Storm Shield wielding Vanguard veteran that would actually stop most of the blows. He was able to stop I think 2 of them. Yeah, it ended up happening. I think I suffered 3 wounds. I stopped 2 of them, but 1 of them failed, so because of that, I did lose 1 of my members of my kill team, so that was pretty sad too. In the morale phase though, because I'm Space Marines and Space Marines don't break, I managed to pass my morale phases for all my teams, and that pretty much makes up turn number 2 for the Death Guard. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Deathwatch. So up here is the bottom of turn number 2 rather, for the movement phase for the Deathwatch. As you can see, once again, not much movement taking place on the left-hand side, giving all my Deathwatch the kill teams over there right where they're at because I want to shoot at my opponent and not engage if I don't have to. On the right-hand side, however, I do fall back 6 inches with kill teams I can, and because they have a Vanguard veteran, they can be able to fall back and still be able to shoot, which is a nice reason why to have Aquila kill teams. They're very, very flexible that way. However, kill team Dothros as well as Nihilist the Black Shield, I just move up their normal movement allowance so that way they can start charging as well as start shooting in this next turn, and that pretty much makes up the move phase on this one. Here's a close-up of kill teams Kroll as well as Cruad maintaining their fighting positions and still keeping their line of fires, keeping on shooting at the demonic engines that are coming their way. And here's a close-up of the action on the right-hand flank, with Kill Team Kroll falling back 6 inches, as well as Nihilus, as well as Kill Team Dothros moving up turn for the kill. So with move phase over with, we go directly to the Psychic phase. In the Psychic phase, I did manage to put 3 mortal wounds onto the Droning Horror using the Smite ability from Epistolary Guys. I also managed to get out Veil of Time again onto my unit in case they get charged at, they can still fight first. So Psychic phase is a pretty successful one for me as well. However, it was the shooting phase that actually did the best, especially over here on the right-hand flank. First of all, I opened up with Kill Team as I can. They have a frag hand there, as well as Kill Team Dothros. I have them concentrate fire into the Poxwalkers because the idea is supposed to be that you can only shoot at a unit that's closest to you if it's a character. So unless the character is the closest one to you, you can't shoot at that character. So because that Nihilus was kind of like not going to be able to shoot at Typhus. So I kept him reserved, opened up my 2 kill teams, chopped down that unit of Poxwalkers all the way down to there's only 4 guys left. Once again, Deathwatch frag cannons are just absolutely dangerous, especially when you do the shell option. 2d6 auto hitting, strength 6 -1 AP attacks. I mean, nothing can stand against that. It's like the AA-12 of shooting for Warhammer 40k. So because I managed to wipe out almost all those Poxwalkers, except 4 of them. Now because that Poxwalker unit is now reduced, Typhus is now within range of Nihilus, the Black Shield, and he can target him now. So now as the Black Shield opens with both his twin blast cannons, managed to hit both of them. My opponent did manage to ward save one of them with a disgusting resilience roll, but I was able to do it the second one, caused exactly 6 wounds, which was enough to put Typhus out of commission. So I also managed to wipe out his first units. I got First Blood, wipe out his Warlord. I got another victory point from that, so that part was kind of cool as well. Other than that, though, the rest of the shooting was really much, that was it. What's the name? Necrosis the Undying is still alive, same thing with 4 Poxwalkers, so that part was pretty rough. Meanwhile, over here on the left-hand side, I do manage to put, I think, 2 more wounds onto the Seeping Death with Kill Team Kroll. Sorry, not Kroll. Kill Team Cruod. I managed to put 2 wounds on that guy as well. Once again, plague drones are absolutely terrifying. They can take a lot of hits, dish out a lot of damage, so that was kind of rough as well. So I still have a Mephitic Blight Hauler to worry about too once I get done with this plague drone, so that was pretty scary. However, on the right-hand side, I got off pretty lucky. The remainders of Kill Team Krull managed to put, I think they managed to put 7 or 8 wounds onto the Joining Horror, so that part was kind of nice as well. The thing that finally finished it off, of course, with the Stasis Bomb. I decided to chuck it using Captain Artemis in order to do that. Managed to blow that guy up, managed to put the last remaining mortal wounds on that guy to kill him. Luckily for me, he did not explode. My buddy didn't use his stratagem either to make it happen. He just let the thing blow up and get killed, so pretty successful shooting phase for me. Because I already have nobody else to charge at, because I only moved to fill my charge rules, there's no common Ralph phase. We go directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Death Guard. At this point, my opponent basically decides to call the game. He doesn't really have much of anything except for his demon engines. I destroyed one of them. One of them was about to die pretty quickly. I wiped out his general as well as his huge unit of Poxwalkers. So at this point, Death just kind of concedes the game at this point. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, go directly to the After Action report, because this battle report is now officially over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, now it's time for the After Action report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action report for the longest war, battle report number 15. Ended up being a victory for yours truly. So let's take a look at the victory points. It ended up being a total of 6 victory points versus 1 victory point in my favor. So in my victory points, I got +1 VP for First Blood, +1 victory point for slaying the Warlord, +1 VP for Linebreaker, and finally 2 victory points for Nurkor Given for wiping out the 2 units of Plague Marines. My opponent, Death, managed to get 1 victory point for Linebreaker. In the end, the reason why I won this battle was because Principle of Mass. Basically catching my opponent in a pincer attack and forcing him into a crossfire was extremely helpful. He had no way of kind of mitigating any of the damage. He had his Poxwalkers acting as a human shield, which was really good for him from the front, but when I attacked his Plague Marines from behind, was unable to do anything to protect those guys as well. So because of that, that's really helped me out. Now, another thing that really helped me out in this game are Melt-A-Guns as well as Frag Cannons. Now, while Melt-A-Guns and Frag Cannons are extremely powerful, they are very points heavy, and I am totally aware of that. And because I have so many Melt-A-Guns as well as Frag Cannons in my army, it does make my kill teams kind of small because they're very points heavy, but at the same time though, it's totally worth it in my opinion. Yes, it's bad whenever I lose a couple of guys, because every single time I lose a veteran, I'm losing an important part of my kill teams, but at the same time though, like this battle report shows, when I get within range and start opening my opening salvos, I just annihilate my enemies in firepower. So because of that, totally worth it, even though if I get damaged first, it could be very, very bad for me as well. In the end, it was the Death Guard's lack of speed that also helped me to contribute to this victory. Because Death's forces couldn't maneuver fast enough because they're kind of slow, it allowed me to seize the initiative the entire time. So basically he was reacting off of everything I was doing, so he had no real recourse. He didn't seize the initiative on this part, so that part was kind of interesting as well. He's actually thinking about getting more fast attack choices and dedicated transports in order to help mitigate that the next time we do battle. However, with that being said, his demon engines for the Death Guard are very scary. Bloat drones, fetid bloat drones are like the stuff that nightmares are made of. They're extremely hard, very, very resilient, have a lot of wounds, also have a lot of damage output when they get their shots off. And Mephitic Blight Haulers, I never fought against those things until this battle report. Those things are very, very deadly. They bring insane amounts of usage as well as synergy for Death Guard army. They provide cover, they can shoot, they got pretty deadly anti-armor weaponry. Very, very deadly unit as well. With that being said, if the Death Guard did manage to get in close range in order to start shooting at me or engage me in close combat, especially those Plague Marines, I'm pretty sure it would have been absolutely deadly. In fact, I think this battle report probably would have been totally different if you managed to be able to do that. In the end, this was an awesome game. I have an awesome opponent as well. I'm looking forward to the rematch. So as always, you guys, please feel free to comment, like, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is always appreciated. Also, check us out on Facebook, Google+, Instagram, as well as Blogger for all the latest and greatest news about our hobby. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. We'll see you again when we do another episode of the Underhive Wars. You guys stay classy. Peace out, you guys.